Hey everyone, welcome back to WorkTech. It's me, George LaRocque, and I've got a really interesting conversation today that I'm really looking forward to sharing with all of you. Usman Khan is joining us today. He's the Senior Vice President at ADP Ventures. Late in 2023, ADP announced the launch of ADP Ventures, which is its corporate venture fund. And now we all know ADP as one of the most respected global brands in HCM. So this announcement caught my attention and a lot of attention in this space where we all operate. And Oz is going to tell us about ADP Ventures and what it's all about. And then we're going to talk a little bit about an event that's coming up in March. Welcome, Oz.
Thank you, George. Good to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm looking forward to sharing this story with the market. But let's start with an introduction. Let everyone know a little bit about yourself and who is Oz Khan?
Yeah, happy to do so. You introduced me as Usman, and now you're saying Oz, and that's a deliberate strategy on my part to confuse as many people as possible. It's a nickname that stuck, and it's generally what I go by. So, by way of introduction, I came from a pretty diverse background, from financial services, digital marketing and marketplaces and professional services before joining ADP. And it was very interesting to join this iconic company that has really been behind the scenes of a lot of work transformation that's happened over the last few decades. And so I've done roles in corporate strategy and product management, and some of my deal experience also ended up in ADP Ventures. And we can talk a little bit more about ventures.
Yeah, it's a great segue to what I'm thinking about because I mentioned we all have this perception of ADP as, I mean, ADP really could be credited as creating the HR technology market. I mean, payroll is where ADP started, and that was really the first tech that opened up the market, and then over time evolved. And now we're in the cloud, and ADP is out in HCM and talent and all across the category. So how does ventures fit within ADP's ecosystem and that whole landscape?
Yeah, it's a great story of technological innovation. I tell the story about Henry Taub, who started the company, and he started it off as a BPO process, and very quickly he started to automate and add technology to the mix. We were some of the first users of mainframes. We got in on the web revolution. We've gotten in on the cloud transformation, and with generative AI, with ADP Assist Out, we've always been at the forefront of change in our industry. And so ventures is a continued stream of progress on those domains. So ventures has been around for a few years. We've been around for 7 or so years. It was actually more of a function that was designed to incubate internal ventures at ADP, where we wanted to create assets outside of the core and then integrate them into ADP Marketplace, Work Market, Wisely, and a number of other products are testament to the teams that built them within Ventures. And the latest evolution of Ventures is a public-facing venture capital effort as part of ADP's corporate innovation makeup. And when we think about how this fits into overall strategy, we feel that we built a lot of interesting assets that we should own and operate ourselves. But at the same time, we've also very consciously realized that there's a broader HCM ecosystem out there, and even many things beyond HCM. And so for us to participate, to get engagement across all levels of our organization, from a product, from a business unit standpoint, venture investing, especially with the strategic lens, really opens up options for us and opportunities for startups.
Yeah. So I would love to first get your understanding, your perspective on the market right now, like what's happening in this growth capital space, I guess maybe in the space overall. and how that relates, if at all, to the timing of launching the external corporate fund.
The timing is definitely interesting from a VC standpoint, especially when you think about returns and fundraising in a high interest rate environment, where funds and asset managers are really thinking about strategy and opportunities and opportunity cost. I think for strategic, the question is different. For strategic like us, it's almost timeless, if you will, right?
Mm.
A strategic should really have a longer term view on the market and where things are going to go. Now, obviously, we don't like extremely high valuations that are driven by hype cycles. And hopefully, I don't get into trouble for saying this, but 2021 and 2022 were really, really exuberant periods.
Oh,
So, getting pulled into that as a strategic would not have been good. So, from my perspective, where we are right now is a good opportunity for us and for startups that we work with, because it is, keep using the word opportunity. It is a real opportunity to build scalable, sustainable, and long-term businesses together.
yeah. And that, I think being a strategic investor, for those that may not be familiar with what the difference is between, a VC and a corporate strategic, how would can you further differentiate that for maybe some founders who might be thinking about it?
Yeah, every venture capitalist, I would say, would have a desire to add value to their portfolio companies,
Sure.
right? They want to see them do well. They also want to generate returns, and that is the trade of being a venture capitalist. The trade of being a strategic venture capitalist is not that different, except you have the power and backing of an organization behind you where you can affect real change, right? And when it comes to ADP, we talked about the history. There's a legacy of 75 years. We're celebrating our 75th birthday this year, and with that comes extremely um, diverse scale in many different markets. We have a very, very healthy small business segment. We have a very, very healthy mid-market and PEO segment. We have a very healthy upmarket segment. We have an international business that's been growing. We have horizontal solutions that HCM platforms use that have been growing. And so when you think about access to almost 1 million clients, or access to distribution, where ADP has almost 10,000 people that are talking to clients and helping them find the solutions that are right for them today. There's a lot of opportunity, but at the same time, we also have to recognize and realize all of us at ADP are focused on the missions within our business line. So we also want to work and participate where it makes sense, and we can add value together. So the opportunity, like I said, on both sides is immense, and the strategic can really bring the power of an organization to bear when it's a relationship that is going to be value added for both sides.
Yeah, so there's a certain amount of alignment that you're looking for, looking across ADP, and whether it's the markets that you're working within, or product categories and so forth, you're looking for alignment with your strategy. Is that fair?
Yes, I think alignment with strategy is important. There are probably a couple of circumstances where you can be a little bit off strategy if you want to make a bet in a space that could end up aligning with strategy. And strategy is really in two forms, right? One form of strategy is immediate and midterm, and another one is long term. So technically, even what I just mentioned would be part of long-term strategy. You just would not want to start go-to-market effort and partnership discussions right on the heels of that. You really be more of a design partnership, if you will. So it is important for us to genuinely believe that we can add value to a portfolio company as an investor, because that is why you'd want to work with us.
Mhm. Yeah, I talked to a lot of founders that are raising capital, and um, that I stress so much. You're choosing a partner, and there are different things that every founder, every team needs in order to be successful. And there's a spectrum of uh, investors, and most of the value they're going to give you is in that investment, and some fairly brief insights, but they're not going to know the space that well. You're far on the other extreme where there's the value of the investment, but then um, it's whether you're taking, capital from ADP Ventures or not. ADP is probably on your list of companies that if you're in the HCM space, that you're interested in partnering with and working with, and thinking again to your point on distribution. The value is really incredible. So are there categories? All that being said, are there, what does an ideal prospect look like for ADP Ventures? Is it companies of a certain size, of a certain category, a certain market segment, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I think what's important to consider even beyond the commercial relationship, it's also the subject matter expertise
Hmm.
that you just touched on, right? When you think about all these different domains, we have an innovation council at ADP, which is a significant number of cross-functional executives organized by several domains. And not to go into all that detail, all of that, thought capital and partnership ability comes with our participation. So there's a lot of goodness for companies that want to work with us, especially in terms of people that have been in those domains and have worked with clients or have been clients themselves. So what does a company look like for us ideally? I would say we're a bit of a multi-stage investor. Um, but I wouldn't necessarily call us an early stage investor.
Hmm.
Not to say we wouldn't make exceptions, but generally, to work with ADP Ventures and with ADP, you should be at a scale that you can devote cycles, time, effort, and energy in terms of building something together. And building something together should not come at the cost of your core business, because the way I look at it is, if we were not talking today, your company should be doing well. If we're not talking tomorrow, your company should be doing really, really well. So there's a need for a laser focus that founders should have on their product, especially in the A through B through C stage. And we don't want to dilute that focus, but if there's value to be created with ADP, you should be at a scale that your team can work with a large organization, because it is an amount of effort that both sides have to exert to get something done, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But uh, do you engage in conversations with earlier stage, get to know them, as hopefully they're growing rapidly to a stage or a
We have
scale that
tons of
you're interested in?
conversations with early stage companies. So I don't want what I just said to turn off any early stage companies. In fact, you should come talk to us if you're early stage, because you're going to be Series A, Series B, and Series C. And that is, if you've had a thread going, it just makes it far easier to bridge that, if you will. It's always good to come along with the founder on their journey, and we've had some fantastic conversation with earlier stage founders that I look forward to working with as their companies mature.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and so, I have so many questions, as you're talking, but I do want to pause and get your view as to what do you think is going to happen in the market this year. And you can take that from any perspective that you'd like, whether it's the growth capital flowing into the space, the sort of the capital markets, or whether or the space in general. Are there, what are you, when you think about what's happening this year in the market, what's and I know this is not financial advice, but
All the disclaimers, disclaimers we can attach. Look, people have opined significantly with tons of analysis on what's going to happen in the market. We kind of have our own point of view. I think some of it's related to macro factors, where you're going to see interest rates kind of do what they did last year, is my guess. Maybe some loosening, if you will. I think the economy continues to show strong signs of progress, and so those are positive factors. my personal sort of thesis is that people will start to deploy capital, not to the same scale that we've seen before, but we will probably have better participation this year than we did last year. There's going to be a continued calibration of valuations, right? Because the multiples are different. The economics and how you look at a company and margins and sustainable business are different. And so there are going to be some tough conversations that some companies are going to have that raise that significant premiums. But that being said, given that we've seen, we haven't seen a dramatic and drastic slowdown in fundraising. And the fact that there is dry powder that we keep talking about that needs to be deployed, we will see capital deployment. It just will be different, is my take.
Yeah, I think that's a great take, and I'm what I've been seeing and hearing through this beginning of the year, I think supports that. And I agree with your earlier statement about 2021 and 2022, 100%. I think we've been in a little bit of a hangover from those days. Those were very unusual. It was a very unusual time frame for work tech and HR tech. And so there's a lot of adjustment to almost getting back to what looks like a really healthy pace if you're thinking back to 2020 and 2019. but
I really look forward to that trajectory sort of harmonizing, if you will.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And seeing a continuation of the trend. It was a positive trend leading up to 2019, and I think it's going to continue to be positive because this whole notion of people at work and how that is going to transform. And you've already seen elements of hybridization of work and generative AI. I mean, it's the elephant in the room. You can't get away from that topic on any given day. The expectations on what it will do and what it won't do, that continues. And there's also, we're continuing to see some hype cycles using the, if you were to use the AI word. But I think the hype there has really been more about infrastructure in terms of how you use AI and how you enable AI. And the winners tend to be the larger players in the market. It remains to be seen how this comes to HR tech and how it changes things. Yeah. Because the way I've seen it pan out is, it's become really, really good toolkits for companies like ADP and some of our peers to leverage within their own products and make things much more different from when they were before. The data and the system of record continues to be us. So in that regard, we're loving the AI boom because it gives us an opportunity to rethink and provide a better client experience.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you've got a growing global business, but you're paying I read it over and over again. 1 out of every 6 paychecks in the U.S. are ADP. You have an incredible amount of data and insight across all of those customers. That's very true. So I want to keep us on time. I've got a few more questions. We've touched on this a little bit. Is there anything that you would add around your sort of thesis and philosophy at ADP Ventures? Or do you feel like have we covered that?
I could talk a little bit about our thesis and philosophy, right? So we had to look at this from the lens of being a strategic, right? So we thought of this as three horizons in terms of categories that we would consider. So the first horizon is what you would call HR tech, if you will, which is very much within the HR stack. You think of the whole spectrum that runs from payroll to retaining employees to recruiting and so on and so forth. And that's horizon 1, and we're heavily looking at that. The second is related to work tech and HR tech, right? So that's where elements of fintech and benefits and other domains that are very, very tightly related to HR. I still think of it as like one degree of separation. And then the third horizon, which we have probably lower focus on, and we'll think about more as we progress, is really beyond work tech and work and life. potentially, right? So that's how we're thinking about it. And within Horizon 1 and Horizon 2, there's several categories and several domains that I don't want to bore you with, but really think of it as we do care about strengthening and empowering the HR stack, doing things a little bit differently than they've been done by software in the past. And of course, there are new subcategories that keep emerging
Yeah.
in Horizon 2,
Yeah.
which are of interest to us as well. You mentioned international. We're thinking of investments and deals on a global basis. So it's a global point of view on all of this.
Right, right. Well, that's exciting for me to hear because, work tech and the evolution, from HR tech, but inclusive of that category as well is what work tech is all about. So
Right.
that's exciting that you're thinking that way. So I know that I'm excited to be a part of. I've been calling it an event within an event next month at Transform in Las Vegas. You've got about a 2-hour window where you're bringing the community together. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about that, and who will be there, and what the event's all about?
Yeah, we're really excited about the event. We do a number of events that would be on the startup community's radar. We're obviously at HR Tech. Marketplace does a very large partner summit. We engage with a lot of companies. This is the first time we're doing HR Transform, and we're really excited because there is a CVC lens on how we're showing up and how we're participating. And our objective really is to bring out some of the best and brightest from ADP, and have them meet some of the best and brightest from the folks that are innovating within those three horizons that I just talked about, right? We're essentially going to be talking about some of the things that we're seeing in the WorkTech domain and beyond. We're going to be talking about how you should think about a strategic investor and what's the best way to work with them. And there's a lot of value to be had, right? It can really unlock a lot of growth. And so what does that mean for companies? And of course, like I said, we'd love to get people together and bring some really senior folks from ADP together and help seed the ecosystem a little bit more.
Yeah, it's great that you're doing it at an industry event. Kudos to Transform for working with you on that. And I'm really looking forward to meeting more of your team, but also you've got other VCs, other investors that are there, and then folks within the portfolio and folks that might be wishing they were in your portfolio or exploring it. And so I always learn a lot at events like this, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it. I've got a shameless plug. I've got one of your panels there on working with a strategic. So that's something that I'm looking forward to learning from the folks that I'll be talking to there as well. All of the links and information about the event will be on the screen here and in the notes. But I know space is limited, and there are folks that have already been signing up. So if you're watching this and you're going to be at Transform, make it happen, because space truly is limited. That's just not marketing.
We were filling up really fast, and we will have a happy hour as well, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to mingle. We're not going to sit and talk at you for 2 hours.
Right. Well, that's great. Anything that I didn't ask you, Oz, about ADP Ventures that you'd like to share before we sign off?
No, I think that's a good overview of the function, our mission, our mandate. Where the timing is right for us to participate in corporate venture because of where ADP's come from. We've got fantastic platforms like ADP Marketplace to partner. We have a lot of experience bringing companies like Fringe and Cocoon, who are two of our portfolio companies, into the fold and family. And there's a lot of buy-in from the rest of ADP. So it's a very exciting time, and there are a lot of really cool deals on the table right now. So stay tuned for what happens with this function and more.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time here and the ADP Venture story with WorkTech. And thanks to everybody that's listening. And Oz, I hope we get to do this again and see how everything's going, a quarter or two from now.
Yeah, would love to. This is great. I
Great.
appreciate the
All right. Well, thank you.